This is the 10th year of Pokemon Go, making it the biggest one yet. So to help you prepare, I'm going to give you the 26 most important, best Pokemon to power up this year in 2026. Starting with a prediction that I think we'll see this year and a Pokemon that I'm very excited for, Dragonite. Now, obviously, Dragonite is not new and we all have like a million of them, and that's fine. But what I'm talking about is Mega Dragonite. Recently, new Mega Pokemon have been announced in the greater Pokemon world, and obviously, if something is in the Pokemon world, it will eventually make its way to Pokemon Go, and I think this year we're going to see some very cool new Mega Pokemon. So we'll start today's video with some predictions and some Mega Pokemon that I think we'll see this year, and if we do, you're going to want to prepare. So Mega Dragonite was recently announced. It looks beautiful. It's a very cool Pokemon. One of my favorite Pokemon is Dragonite, so that's exciting for me. I have a great collection of Dragonites, and if we get a Mega, I'm ready. I think I have like 3 Hundos. I've got like a very high shiny level 50. I've got the Shadow Shiny, which can't Mega. But Mega Dragonite, when it is released, will be a dragon flying type Pokemon and will probably be one of the best, if not the best dragon type in the game. Right now in Pokemon Go, this guy, Shadow Dragonite, is a top 10 dragon type overall, which is crazy considering this is a Generation 1 Pokemon. And Dragonite maxes out, as you can see, if we brought this to level 50, at 4,287 CP, and I actually have... The only level 51 I have is this shiny for some reason. I guess I wanted to do that. So if we do get a Mega, we're going to predict the CP to be like possibly in the 7,000s, the 6 to 7,000s, which is going to make it probably a top 3 dragon overall. Plus, it's an absolutely gorgeous Pokemon and would be a really, really fun addition to Pokemon Go and would just... I don't know, it's a brand new Mega in the franchise. Like, that'd be a big deal. So, powering up your Dragonite will be a great bet, I think, because the new Mega will be amazing and make Dragonite one of the most relevant Pokemon in the game because you'll need the candies to get the Mega. And again, Shadow Dragonite already very meta relevant. So, if you have one or a good IV one or a good shiny one, it's worth it. Next is this Pokemon, Meganium. Mega Meganium was also announced, which will, when it comes out, be a grass and fairy type Pokemon. The 2 current grass type Mega Pokemon that are starters, so Mega Venusaur and Sceptile, are currently like top 3 grass types overall. They're some of the best in the game. So I assume when Meganium gets its Mega, even though it only maxes out, what is the level 50 max out is at 27, 25. So it's not that high CP of a Pokemon, but the other starter grass types are insane as Megas, and I assume whenever the new Mega Meganium comes out, this will also probably be very good. So it's worth getting some of them and powering up the good ones if you have them. And for being realistic, I definitely think that the Megas that we will see in 2026 will probably be like, I hesitate to say the more boring ones, but probably some of the more boring ones, like the starters, like Mega Meganium. Another Pokemon is Feraligatr, who got a newly announced Mega, and another one that I think we'll end up seeing this year in 2026. When it's released, it's going to be a water dragon type, which is very, very cool. And just like with the grass type starter Pokemon, currently the 2 water type Mega Pokemon in Pokemon Go, Blastoise and Swampert, are in the top 5 for the water type category. So I assume when Feraligatr's Mega comes out, it's also going to be in like top 5, top 10. Also, Feraligatr maxes out at 3,230 CP, so the Mega should be better than Meganium's Mega. So if there's ever a Totodile Community Day, play it, get the candy, and power up the good ones. And do I have a Hundo? Is this a Hundo? Nice. Something that you're going to notice in today's video, and really with Pokemon right now, is that it's very Mega Pokemon focused. Mega Pokemon have been reintroduced into the franchise, into the trading cards, like in this kind of newer era of Pokemon. The new trading card game set or like era is called Mega Evolution. So Mega Pokemon are back. So today's video is going to be very Mega focused because not only are they some of the best Pokemon in the game, but I think there's going to be a big focus on Megas for the 10th year anniversary and for the 30th year of Pokemon. Okay, let's talk about some Pokemon that we do have in game already that you have in your account that you should be powering up. And we'll go by typing. Starting with ground typing, you're going to want to focus on Groudon. Primal Groudon is currently, I think it's the best ground type in the entire game, and Groudon and Shadow Groudon are also extremely useful. So this is a great Pokemon to get candy for, and it's a great Pokemon to power up and just to have a lot of. And again, Shadow Groudon, also very, very good. The only thing, though, This is a legendary. It is hard to get candies for this unless you do a ton of raids and you just have rare candy lying around everywhere. So when Groudon is back in raids, do as many raids as you can, Pineapple or Silver Pineapple, everything that you can, and have an active ground type Mega Pokemon when catching Groudon so you get even more candy. The cool thing with this Pokemon and a lot of the Megas that we'll talk about today is that they do have the Primal or Mega level system, which makes them even more useful and more helpful and more meta relevant. And it's why Megas are amazing, because not only are they really useful in like raids because they deal a lot of damage, but they have great bonuses like boosting candy, XL candy, making people's attacks do more damage and reducing the like the rest period. Also, you get more XP. Like if I have my ground type Primal Groudon actively Primal evolved, I'm going to get more XP for catching ground type Pokemon. I'm going to get more candy and XL candy for when catching ground type Pokemon. Really, really useful things. The next ground type Pokemon is this guy, Garchomp. Extremely useful and much better than Groudon, really, just because it is easier to get Gibble and Gibble candy than it is to get Groudon and Groudon candy. So this is a great budget option when it does come back into the wild and into events. Its Mega is a top 3 dragon type overall. And this guy, Shadow Groudon, is also a top 3 ground type overall. Really useful. Oh, and I'm sorry, the Mega Garchomp is a top dragon and ground type. So it's, you know, dual useful. And the Shadow is also a top 3 ground type and a top 5 dragon type. So also very useful. And if you even have just like a normal Groudon, also extremely helpful. Now, unfortunately for me, I have 0 Mega energy, but I'm working a couple of my Groudon to max level Mega, but plenty of Gibble candy, plenty of XL candies, so I can just keep powering them up when they come along. Next Pokemon will be Zacian, the Crown Sword Zacian. This guy is a fairy steel type, and it's really good as both a fairy and a steel. This is a top 3 fairy type in Pokemon Go. This is, I think, also a top 3 steel type, one of the best steel types in the game, if not the best. It has very high CP, maxing out at 5629. This is my Shabundo. I used my golden bottle cap on this one because it is so useful. Not to mention, this Pokemon can also be used in Dynamax and Gigantamax raids, and that's another thing that we're going to talk about in today's video, because in 2025, the Dynamax Gigantamax feature got a lot of love, got a lot of very cool updates and cool events, and we all spent kind of a lot of money on it. And if you didn't spend a lot of money on it, you might this year in 2026. I definitely predict this year will be a big year for the Gigantamax Pokemon, a big year for the whole Dynamax system. I think there's going to be a lot of events happening there and a lot of cool Pokemon to hunt in that system. And these guys are not only very useful in raids against Giovanni, but also very useful in the Gigantamax and Dynamax raids. Plus 2, kind of cool, it does have an adventure effect, Behemoth Blade, which, you know, you'll want candies for. The only thing is that it's not the greatest. You know, it just helps your Pokemon's attacks in raids and max battles. So, like, it makes your Pokemon do more damage, which is cool, right, if you need it, but it's not like the best adventure effect. Then, of course, we've got Crown Form Zamazenta as well, one of the top steel types in the entire game, extremely useful as a steel type Pokemon. And just like with Zacian, you can use this in Dynamax and Gigantamax raids. I also think if you spawn in with it, you automatically spawn in with, like, Shield, right, is how that works. And it does have also an adventure effect that makes your Pokemon more tanky in max battles when you use your Zamazenta, which is nice if you're a big max battle person. But not only is it relevant against like normal PvE, like normal raids and normal legendary raids and normal battles, but it's also great in Dynamax and Gigantamax, and it's very tanky on the defense side of things. And the last steel type I want to talk about is Metagross, which has been relevant since it came out in the game years and years and years ago. I think it's always going to be relevant just because it's an absolute tank. Mega Metagross is currently, I think, the #1 or a top 3 at least overall steel type in the game. And of course, you know, it does have the Mega level system, so it's extremely useful both as a raid boss counter and just as a general Mega Pokemon. So really good to have some good Metagross. Shadow Metagross can be Shadow Shiny, which is very fun to hunt. I've got one here, and it is a top 5 steel type overall, which is why having this is my only Shadow Hundo. Huge flex of mine. But this is like one of the best Pokemon in the game. Like, this is crazy. Unfortunately, though, it can't Mega Evolve, so it is what it is. And even if you have just a normal Metagross, not Shadow, not Mega, it's still a top 10 Steel type. So it's a really nice budget steel type option. It's not a legendary, it's not some crazy mythical, like, you know, you can find Beldum in the wild, you can find it during events. It has like community day classic events, so there's plenty of opportunities to catch this throughout the year. So it's a great budget option, and it's a really, really useful Pokemon. And I don't know if I have I do have some Dynamax ones. It has Dynamax as well. You can get Metagross in Dynamax raids, and it's extremely useful as both a steel, I think, or a psychic type, honestly. As a psychic type in the Dynamax and Gigantamax raids. Of course, you know, you do have Pokemon like Zamazenta and Zacian to help you on the steel side of things, but this is definitely a great option. So Mega, Normal, Shadow, Dynamax, this thing is a beast. Let's head over to water-type Pokemon, starting with Swampert, which is currently, I think, Mega Swampert is the #1 overall water type in Pokemon Go. Very, very great, very useful. I've got a max mega of it, which is sick. And this also has a Shadow. I don't really have a good one or many good ones. I haven't really hunted this, and I should though, because Shadow Swampert is a top 10 water type in Pokemon Go, and you can have a full team of it. So, you know, what is it? Mudkip candy, not hard to come by, so it's another pretty nice budget option when powering something up, because the candy is not expensive to get, like legendary candy. Plus it's shiny. The shiny is great. Really, really good option as a water type. Again, especially if you're going to go for that, the Mega, which is great. Next is Old Faithful, the Blastoise. I mean, this guy's been out since the game has been out, and it still maintains its meta relevancy in Pokemon Go. Not as Blastoise, though, but of course as Mega Blastoise, which is one of the biggest, the best water-type Pokemon in the game to this day, even though we have great Pokemon like Mega Swampert and Primal Kyogre, which is another top water type, but I didn't include it in this list because we're only picking the top 26 of the Pokemon, and Primal Kyogre didn't make the cut because it's just so hard to get and so expensive to get. Blastoise, Mega Swampert will be just as good, if not better. Heading over to the electric-type Pokemon, Shadow Raikou. I know I just said that we didn't do Primal Kyogre because it was hard to get. Shadow Raikou, even harder to get, but I wanted to include at least one Shadow Pokemon in today's list because Shadow Pokemon are still the best Pokemon in the game after Megas. And remember, you can only have one active Mega at a time. You cannot have a whole team of Mega Pokemon, but if you have enough of them, if you got it like that, you can have a whole team of Shadow Pokemon. So Shadow Raikou, I think, is the #1 overall electric type. It's extremely useful. I only have one. The candy is very, very rare, hard to come by, and expensive. But if you can get yourself some Shadow Raikou and some Shadow Raikou raids, or just Raikou raids in general, the Shadow is great. And the next great electric type is Xurkitree, another really, really wonderful one. Also, just kind of a cool Pokemon. It's an Ultra Beast. Again, sort of hard candy to come by. I have a lot of it because it was like in a Pokemon Go Fest, and then I did a million raids so that I could get a shiny with the background, which is cool. But this is another one of the more premium electric type Pokemon that are definitely worth powering up. Also, too, the max CP is super big. Now let's jump over to Ice-type Pokemon, and we'll focus on this guy, White Kyurem. White Kyurem is currently the #1 overall Ice-type attacker in Pokemon Go. It's extremely meta-relevant, but the interesting thing about it is that I would almost recommend not powering this up and instead saving all of your Kyurem candy for the adventure effects on both White and Black Kyurem, which is where I think the Kyurem candy is much better spent. But it is an honorable mention that this Pokemon, it is a great Ice-type attacker. It's a very, very, very cool legendary. It's fused, which makes it even cooler, and it has a really, really useful adventure effect. Which brings me to the next one, Black Kyurem, which I think is the best out of the two. I think White Kyurem looks better, but I think Black Kyurem is much more useful because not only is this, I think, the second best Ice-type Pokemon in the entire game right now, but it's also a top 10 Dragon type overall. So it's really, really useful for 2 typings, and those are the kind of Pokemon that you want to invest your candy and your Stardust into, Pokemon that will be useful in multiple scenarios. Also, not to mention, I think Freeze Shock is the second best adventure effect in the entire game, which comes on Black Kyurem, which basically causes a Pokemon to not, it doesn't dodge at all. It's basically like it's an infinite Nana Berry. So wild encounters or legendary encounters or raid encounters, they do not dodge, they stay still. It makes it very easy to hit excellence, and it brings your base catch rate up, so it makes it easier to catch legendary Pokemon, which is why I think that this is a great Pokemon to power up because it's so useful. But in my opinion, I know today is about powering up, I would say save your Kyurem candy and use it on Freeze Shock instead of powering up your Kyurem. And then for Ice-type Pokemon, you can power up Pokemon like this, a Mamoswine or Shadow Mamoswine, which is one of the best Ice-type Pokemon in the entire game. And as you can see from my candy count, Swinub candy is very easy to come by. Because this is an Ice-type, we typically end up seeing Swinub spawn during the Christmas season. Literally every year, there's always a community day or a throwback community day with Swinub. It spawns as a part of a ton of events. There's so many opportunities to catch Swinub and get Swinub candies, and sometimes Shadow Swinub is available. I wish I got more of them, but I did get one good, really good IV Shadow Swinub. I could purify this and make it a hundo. It's much better as a Shadow, and again, the Shadow Mamoswine is one of the best Ice-type attackers, but even normal Mamoswine, yeah, Powder Snow and Avalanche is amazing. So this Pokemon's super old, 2017, but it is still, to this day, one of the best Ice-type attackers, and currently the best Ice-type attacker that's like a not a legendary. You know, it's like the best budget. And Ice-type attackers, just a quick honorable mention, are very important because they are super effective against Flying and Dragon. And when you think about, you know, Pokemon that you need, you're going to need Ice-type attackers because there's so many legendary and mythical Pokemon that we get in the raids that are that are Flying or Dragon. Like a lot of the big Pokemon, Rayquaza, the legendary birds, like there's so many Pokemon that are one of those two typings. So having good Ice-type Pokemon is really, really important, and Mamoswine is a great budget option if you don't want to spend on the bigger ones like White or Black Kyurem. Switching over to Dark-type Pokemon, we've got one of the kings since 2018, Tyranitar. More specifically, Mega Tyranitar, which is currently a top 3 rock type. It is extremely useful. You know, it gives you all of these great bonuses for having a Mega, which is like more useful, honestly, than the Mega itself. And I don't know if I said this correctly. Mega Tyranitar is, I think, the #1 overall dark type in Pokemon Go, and at the same time, a top 3 rock type. Another cool thing is that it is a rock and dark type, so that when you Mega Evolve it, you can get boosted candy, boosted XL candy, boosted XP when you're catching either rock or dark type. So it's great because it helps you cover multiple typings and events. And cool thing about Tyranitar is that it's been around forever, and it has a Shadow available that comes back to the team leaders every so often. And whenever that happens, I highly recommend doing as many team leaders as possible, trying to get your Shadow Tyranitar. I think I have a really good IV one here. I do. Or your Shadow Shiny, which I have here, and I've level 50'd it, because Shadow Tyranitar is a top 3 dark type overall and a top 10 rock type overall. Extremely good for both rock and dark. Those two, again, kind of like with Ice, rock types and dark types, both very, very useful when, raiding big legendary Pokemon, because there's a lot of flying, and then dark type is just very useful. So Tyranitar and Mega Tyranitar and Shadow Tyranitar cover dark and rock type. It is just one of the best Pokemon. Now, if we just focused on rock type Pokemon, one of the best is Rhyperior. It's also a very good ground type, but Shadow Rhyperior is one of the best rock types in the game, and I literally don't have one. So I probably should listen to some of my own advice and go and like hunt some Shadow Rhyhorn so that we can do that. But this is a very, very budget option. There's like Rhyhorn is not hard to come by. It's not an expensive Pokemon to get, and this has been relevant since it came out. So if you want another more budget option for rock type Pokemon, which are very, very useful, Rhyperior and Shadow Rhyperior specifically is great. Let's talk ghost Pokemon, starting with Dawn Wings Necrozma. This is currently the #1 ghost type attacker in Pokemon Go. It is a beast, and it is fused with Necrozma and Lunala, so it's kind of a hard Pokemon to get. If you don't already have one, you can't get one right now in Pokemon Go, but there will be events in the future where you can, and I recommend it because it is such a sick Pokemon, the best ghost type overall. I have so many candies just because there's been, like, last year was a big year for this guy, or 2024 rather, during GoFest. And it also has an adventure effect. I think this is kind of a useless one, to be honest with you, so don't have to worry too much about it, but it has that too. But the king of ghost type Pokemon is, in my opinion, Gengar, and this has continued to be one of the best Pokemon to power up in Pokemon Go. I hopefully mention Gengar every single year because it is a monster. It's a bit of a glass cannon, which means it does a lot of damage, but it also doesn't have high defense, so it gets killed pretty quickly. But Mega Gengar is one of the best ghost-type Pokemon in the game. It's a beautiful ghost shiny, and it is just really, really helpful ghost and poison. And also, Mega Gengar is one of the best poison types. So it's the best ghost, one of the best ghosts, one of the best poisons, dual typing, very, very useful. and Gengar, I have nearly 10,000 candy. This thing also spawns all the time, especially during the Halloween season. Very, very easy candy to get and decently easy to get good IVs of it because you can just catch a bunch and trade until you get a hundo. As for fire-type Pokemon, Mega Blaziken actually is the #1 overall fire type in the game. Torchic, super easy as well. It's a starter, easy candy to find, easy to get good IVs because you just trade back and forth until you get the hundo. And then Mega Blaziken is a monster. It's also a fire and fighting type, and it is also a top fighting type. So once again, Mega Blaziken is a dual typing, and it's one of the best in the entire game for each of its typing. So very useful across the board. Great Pokemon, easy to come by. I literally only have one. So, again, I probably should listen to my advice and get more of these this year. Another top fire type is Mega Charizard Y. And the cool thing about Mega Charizard Y and Charizard in general is that, as you can see from this Charizard, we've got Mega Charizard X and Y in the background, and then the background will change to this very cool Gigantamax background because this is a Gigantamax Charizard. So again, going about, talking about the Dynamax system, the Gigantamax system, all of these different cool features that we have in Pokemon Go, it's kind of hard to find Pokemon that are useful in all of them. And Charizard is a wonderful example of, it's one of the most iconic Pokemon of all time, of course, but in Pokemon Go, Mega Charizard Y is one of the best fire type and flying types in the entire game, so it's very useful. Also, when fire type or flying type Pokemon are spawning, it will boost your candy and XL candy and XP for those, and there's plenty of events around fire type spawns. And not to mention, this also can be Gigantamax. So if you do the Gigantamax raids and you catch Gigantamax Charizard, you can also Mega Evolve that. So this, honestly, is probably one of the most useful Pokemon in my entire account. It's kind of crazy that I don't have it to level 50, but it's because I don't have enough XL candy. So whenever Charmander comes back, I'll have to hunt this pretty hard. But this thing is not only one of the best Gigantamax Pokemon as a fire type, but it's also one of the best fire-type Pokemon and one of the best flying-type Pokemon, and it just looks sick. So Charizard, specifically Gigantamax Charizard, Mega Charizard Y, very, very, very good. Then for grass-type Pokemon, we've got Mega Venusaur as one of the top grass types in the entire game. Also, too, unfortunately, I don't have a Gigantamax shiny of this. I didn't get lucky enough, but it can be Gigantamax as well. So one of the best grass and poison Gigantamax Pokemon that you can use in the Dynamax and Gigantamax raids. Also, as a Mega, it is one of the best grass types, and it's been around forever. It has so many cool, different, costumes like this. I like the Party Hat shiny costume, and this is, and I Mega Evolved this, so I'm working this to max level Mega, or it is a max level Mega, actually. I just got it there. And being Bulbasaur, it comes back all the time, so very easy candy to get. Now, I'm sure you were all waiting for me to talk about the king, Shadow Mewtwo. This Pokemon will forever and always be in our top Pokemon to power up videos until the end of time. So if there's any Pokemon to put rare candy into or to put Stardust into, it will always and forever be Mewtwo. Because right now, at the time that I'm recording this, the only kinds of Mewtwo that exist in Pokemon Go is just regular Mewtwo, Shiny Mewtwo, and Shadow Mewtwo, which also does have Shadow Shiny, which I don't know where I put my Shadow Shiny Mewtwo. I definitely have one. It's fine, whatever. We'll just talk about Shadow Mewtwo. Because Shadow Mewtwo is currently the best Psychic-type Pokemon in the entire game. And also, regular Mewtwo, this guy right here, is one of the best. It's a top 3 Psychic-type. So, Shadow Mewtwo, regular Mewtwo are both insane. And the big thing is that one day, hopefully this year, Mewtwo has 2 different Mega forms, Mega Mewtwo X and Mega Mewtwo Y. And when those come to Pokemon Go, they will always and forever be the best Psychic types overall. So having good Mewtwo, powered up Mewtwo, and Mewtwo candy is going to be really, really important, literally until we all quit this game. So power up your Mewtwo. If we look at my top CP Pokemon, I have so many of them in my top 20 just because they're so useful and so relevant, especially as a Shadow. And again, when the Mega comes out, I've got my Hundo, I've got my Shundo, my shiny, like my Shabundo. I used a bottle cap on this to get it to Shundo. So I've got some really, really good options for the Mega whenever it does come out. And I actually have this shiny Best Buddy level 50 as well, 96. So power up your Mewtwo always. As for Dragon-type Pokemon, Eternatus. One of the most expensive free Pokemon to ever be released. It was technically free in an encounter in your Battle Pass, but to power it up, it cost an obscene amount of money For example, for me, to get this thing to level 50, it cost $1,000. So if you're going to spend that much money on it, you might as well max it out if you haven't already. Cool thing with Eternatus, it's one of the best, I think it's the #1 dragon type in the entire game. It's also one of the best poison type Pokemon, so it's, dual typing, dually useful, and you can use this in Gigantamax and Dynamax raids, and it's one of the best Pokemon in Gigantamax and Dynamax raids. As you can see, we've got like the max moves and everything on it. It also has an adventure effect. I don't think I've ever used it, to be honest with you, Dynamax Cannon, but if you really need help during the Dynamax and Gigantamax raids, it's of course very, very useful. So this guy, for sure worth powering up. And one day, I have it tagged, I will use a golden bottle cap to make my $1,000 Pokemon a 100% IV, because we do not know when we're going to get another Eternatus. We all could only get one. So if you have your one, putting rare candies into this, powering up, great option. And I think this thing will be useful for a very long time. Another king always worth powering up is Rayquaza. Of course, Rayquaza, one of the most iconic legendaries of all time and one of the best shinies of all time. But also, this Shundo that I have here, that I also got to Best Buddies, can Mega Evolve. And Mega Rayquaza is one of the best dragon types and one of the best flying types in the entire game, and it's just a fan-freaking-tastic Pokemon. Extremely useful. Again, having that max level Mega boost. Oh, wait, 3 more times to reach match level. Oh, I almost have this to max level Mega. I just have to, 3 more days and I've got it. But having this thing at max level Mega is so useful. And this is a big tip that I'll give you. The big thing about max level Mega isn't just getting more candies from Pokemon you catch in the wild, but when you do legendary raids, which are very expensive to do because raid passes cost money, you want to make sure you have a max level Pokemon currently Mega Evolved that is the same typing as the legendary Pokemon that you're catching. So if Rayquaza ever comes back to raids, which it always does once or twice per year, I will make sure that whenever I'm doing Rayquaza raids, I will have a max level Rayquaza Mega Evolved so that I'm getting more candy and XL candy per Rayquaza raid. Again, legendary Pokemon has some of the most expensive candy in Pokemon Go because you have to pay to raid them and technically pay to get the candies. So when you do those raids, you want to maximize your value per raid right? And to do that, you need to have max level Mega Pokemon that are the same typing as the legendary that you're catching, and Dragon type legendary Pokemon are very common, popular, and powerful. So having your Rayquaza at max level Mega will save you money. And it's one of the best dragons in flying types, and it's just an absolute beast. And Pokemon number 26 that we'll talk about today is Lucario. Mega Lucario, one of the best fighting type Pokemon in Pokemon Go. It is a fantastic Pokemon, a really nice Mega. And there is a new Mega called Mega Lucario Z, which I might talk about in a future video, and we will hopefully see in Pokemon Go in the coming months or years. So I think that Mega Lucario and Lucario will always be a safe bet to put candy into because it might be useful in PvP. It's really useful. I always use Lucario when going up against Giovanni or the team leaders because the power-up punch, it's spammy. It makes the attacks do more damage. You can have Shadow Ball on it. This is such a useful Pokemon when battling up against Team Rocket. And again, Mega Lucario, one of the best fighting type Megas. It's both a fighting and steel, which means when you have it Mega Evolved, it boosts all of those boosts for fire and steel type Pokemon. Or I'm sorry, fighting and steel, which is great. And this will one day get a new Mega Lucario Z, so it's going to be even better. And if you want even more tips and tricks for Pokemon Go in 2026, check out these other videos on screen. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on your 10th year of the game.